Hi, my name is Chris Jordan, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, called Omnidac. At Omnidac, we built effectively a platform for the future and a platform that you can start implementing today inside of your company and better prepare it to start really taking it for the first time truly paperless. And we don't mean scanning documents necessarily, we mean truly offering a digital revolution where everything is going from files to data-driven processes. We can do this today, but what we're really doing is we're preparing for the maximum value of what true cloud ERP applications can give us as a company. So we're going to walk through over the next couple of slides what we mean by that and how Omnidac can really help you create a strategy inside of your company today to better prepare for the future big migration to cloud ERP systems tomorrow. Now, the first thing that we like to talk about is really where there's an industry problem, and some companies are feeling this at various levels. Some may not have hit this critical mass yet. Some know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's this idea of Appageddon or app overload. Inside of the average small to mid-sized business, there are say the 38 employees. There are 12 different apps on average running those businesses. Well, that creates 400 username and passwords, 400 connections, 400 settings tables that we have to manage and maintain at different levels. Also, in addition, because these are on subscription service, we're kind of non-committal to this. So every 2 years, we have a 38% software as a service stack turnover. Plus, we have these kind of ghost apps that we're just paying for that are just on the dole that we just don't have an owner or we forgot about them. So this really is not a strategy. This is what companies are doing today, and they're really just playing whack-a-mole. But we hypothesize that in the future, this is going to become a critical mass, and companies are going to start looking to reduce the noise. They're going to be looking for ways to reduce how much applications it takes to run their business, but also kind of create some uniformity. You can imagine with this type of environment, onboarding new employees or trying to introduce new process improvements, it becomes very difficult. Now, it's important to understand why do we even buy these apps? Well, the issue is that our accounting system doesn't do what we need it to do, at least user experience wise. It for sure can account for everything at the end of the month, but it doesn't do a good job generally during the process of the day-to-day, whether it's talking about project management or time collection or purchase requisition. It's fine to manage it on the back end, but not good to handle approvals and workflows. So what ends up happening is we start looking for extensions, these little applications that will drive certain aspects of it. Maybe it handles our project management outside, or maybe our time collection, getting payroll in. And we approve inside of these applications, we collaborate, and we put notes, and we put information in there. And then we also run reports inside of these applications. I can go into my Concur system and go see what I'm doing with my expenses. But my expenses in Concur are not my cash. My cash is really sitting in my ERP system. But because these ERP systems today sit on side of servers behind firewalls, we can't easily communicate with them. However, this is really the engine that should be driving our reporting and our financial forecasting. So what do we have here? Well, we have a bunch of little apps with a bunch of little mini engines or little engines that couldn't, trying to report on their specific best in breed process. And we're creating the silo effect where I can see where I see specific things, and I can maybe identify this, expense issue or this purchasing issue or time collection issue, but I really can't see my company holistically until the end of the month once it eventually gets over to my accounting system. Well, this is how we buy software today. We just kind of live with the rules of the game defined here, but if you look at the culprit, it's really the accounting system living on a server somewhere. Even if it's in someone else's cloud, it's still on a server somewhere protected by a firewall and making it very difficult to communicate with it. Well, enter in the new revolution of cloud ERP. We effectively have these new ways of communicating with our accounting system. The effectively firewall that was sitting there limiting factors for these applications to communicate with, driving the reason they had to build their own reporting engines because they couldn't tap into the big resource. Because that wall is effectively broken down, we now have direct access to the big engine, right? So now if you start thinking about whether it's the timekeeping system or the service ticket system or the purchasing system, whatever the flavor of app it is, we start looking at it, well, if I don't need their reporting engine anymore because it's going to feed my accounting system automatically once it's met its final level of review, then whether it's a timesheet or the PO or the expense, it's basically an undercurrent of somebody fills something out, a group of people approve it, and then it goes back into my accounting system. Well, that repetitive nature flow of being able to quickly collect data and quickly get it back into ERP after approved, this can repeat as needed all throughout the company. So you start looking at, do I really need a bunch of these best in breed apps with their own little reporting engines when I already have this now new souped up ERP engine in the cloud? Well, this is where we believe there was an opportunity for a product like Omnidac, where because it didn't matter how powerful your little micro engine is, it's more about how broadly can you collect data, how efficiently and effectively can you have your team approve and review that data and collaborate on those data-driven processes, and then how well can you integrate back into the ERP system quickly. Well, at a high level, this is what Omnidac is. It's effectively a wrapper that incorporates all of your collaboration and chat and internal communication, your document management and file management, your process management and workflow automation, all living inside of one ecosystem. It allows the in-office staff and accounting professionals to come in and approve and review and report. It allows the field representatives to submit data from the field from a smartphone, tablet, the subcontractors and vendors coming into the portal, even the IoT devices out in the field that are generating data for us can spawn these workflows. So all of this data can now come into one centralized hub, and it has this bidirectional relationship in the cloud with your native cloud ERP system. Now my reports come to life, and I'm not waiting at the end of the month to close out or whatever else. I'm seeing this thing, and I'm seeing my company for the first time via dashboard in my accounting system happening in real time. And this is the holy grail that's promised and has been promised for the last decade inside of our accounting demonstrations, and was maybe the reasons why we bought some of our ERP systems. But now, because these barriers are broken down and because of products like Omnidac, it's now changing the way companies are looking at buying software for the better. Now, how that's going to replace buying software instead of Google searching and looking for the best of breed, whatever app to solve whatever fire is the flavor of the week, it's replaced with collaborative and contributed marketplaces like Omnidac has inside of it, where these are all the base processes or example processes that our customers are using. You'll simply peruse it, you'll look inside, you'll pull it down, you'll modify for your own purposes, and then roll out with no training required. And we think that this is a more organic way of kind of using this family of customers that are using the Omnidac platform, coming up with cool processes, new ways of looking at employee scorecards or field management or safety or whatever else, sharing that back to the community, and then kind of pulling down and having those contributions be built to automate the processes. In addition, once you've implemented a process inside of Omnidac, new processes, there's no training required, because it's the same place where our forms live, same place to approve, same place to report. So this assembly line nature of how Omnidac was built was designed to have more processes implemented, more automation flowing through the company. And that's exactly what we'll kind of talk to here in just a second. So I'm done kind of PowerPointing you to death. I appreciate you letting me do that. What I'm going to walk through now is effectively a day in the life of Omnidac. Inside of our company, so we have a HubSpot CRM system, and that's what really drives the marketing and digital, maybe where you guys came from in sitting at this webinar. That's our CRM system. Omnidac is our intranet portal for everything. So there's a process for literally everything inside of the company. All the different divisions use Omnidac. So these are my favorited forms that I fill out regularly, but this is every division's forms and processes. Onboarding a customer, doing a project scope or review, a timesheet, customer support ticket, QA/QC daily report, whatever the process is, there's a form and a placeholder for it. If you were to look at this kind of a day in the life here, let's take my expense report, for example. This is what I'm going to fill out. Whenever I want to select my employee list here, this is a real-time pick list out of my accounting system. So the third system I have is my cloud ERP, and that's Sage Intacct. We have a bidirectional relationship. So all of those three systems are all native cloud applications and all communicate with one another. In this case, I'm going to select let's say I want to buy something, maybe it's some meals and entertainment for 25 bucks. I'll take a picture of my receipt. I'll add another receipt in here as well, and let's say that's $125. This will roll up here, and it'll actually create my expense reimbursement report. Let's say I took one trip and it was 125 miles round trip to New Orleans. It's going to total everything up for me. I'm going to drop my digital signature on it, and I'm going to submit it to my supervisor for review. This is an example of a form that I would fill out on my phone, tablet, or desktop. Now, the way that I would build that, let's kind of walk through how I would build a process inside of Omnidac. Well, I would first start with the marketplace. The marketplace is that shared community of processes that are just pre-built that you can use as accelerators. If I'm looking for expense reports, for example, I can come to this and see there's three flavors of the expense report. In this case, this one has the weekly and the monthly breakdown, the one that I use, but you could absolutely use one that's maybe more reimbursable versus non-reimbursable, or maybe the different layouts that you prefer. This is actually one that my employees use. We have two different types. This is more single expense reimbursements because they don't do it all the time. So all I would do simply to add this to my library is with one click, I can add it to my library here. It's going to give me a little notification and give me a prompt that it's successfully brought over there. And then I'm going to go to my designer, and then I'm just going to make it my own. Let's say this is, let me call it my expense here. So let's say, for example, just to kind of walk through this, I want to connect this category to my GL accounts. Well, this is going to be all the data tables out of my accounting system or any other source that I'm doing. In this case, I may want to attach this to my expense account, and I want the description and the GL to show up. Simply clicking buttons to connect. When it comes down to doing the math, like in this example down here, I've got mileage reimbursements. This is actually doing the math that whatever number I put into my miles here, it's going to multiply it by 0.545 or 0.55, and I'm going to change it to 0.545. So just like I would build an expression in Excel, I'm doing that in the form, so now it'll do my calculations for me. It's adding up my totals here and then giving me my grand total. You can see there's an expression just adding these two together. And then let's say, for example, I want to add another column, and this column is going to be for signatures, both myself as well as maybe a supervisor. Well, I'm simply going to drag down the signature block for both, and then maybe I'm going to give them the requirement to maybe acknowledge an agreement, and I'll put that in there as well. So you appreciate building forms, modifying, deleting, removing questions. It's very, very easy. This is me going shopping, if you will, although it's free, pulling it down, making it my own, and then I'm now ready to deploy. Now, once I build my form, I'm now ready to set up workflow. So let's take the expense report, for example. I may have 15 divisions inside of my company. In our case, we really have about 4. Inside of the divisions, I've got division managers that really supervise the team's crew. Most of my workflows respect the hierarchy that we build. So Omnidac ships with a hierarchy that this controls what forms you have access to, what questions on the form you even see, but also we can lean on it when we're building work process. In this case, I want to have this first level of direct supervisors be the first level of approval for any expense report submitted by my team. Well, when I'm building a workflow, let's say, for example, and I'll go ahead and call up a simple form here. Let's say, we'll just call it this one. We'll call it a test. I'm going to call anybody that submits an expense report, I want to call the hierarchy node. I'm then going to put those 4 division managers in this hierarchy node, which is going to encompass any of the field level people that are filling out forms. I can do this and layer this on top for different divisions as well. Once I come in and I give the hierarchy the first level of approval, then I'm going to condition this. Maybe the condition is of an expense report under $1,000. Okay, so then I would do a condition where the total requested amount is greater than a number. In that case, $1,000. And then if it's true, I need VP of Finance to look at it, and then it can go to accounting. If it's false, it can just go to accounting. So in this case, I might also want to make sure that this thing alerts the submitter, maybe all participants, so they get a copy that it's been fully approved in a final version of the ticket. But this is how easy it is to both build a form, set up your hierarchy, as well as build work processes. Everything that I've shown you there is one-time setup that can be done literally in the whiteboard session while you're building processes with your team. Then we effectively sit back and then I prove things and I collaborate, I report on specific things, and then I review kind of at a global level, maybe all the things for a job or all the things for a piece of equipment or an employee. So let's kind of walk through that. In my inbox, this is my to-do list. These are things that maybe somebody has recently chatted on that maybe I need to review. In this case, this was a new deal that we just booked. I can just review that, okay, they've confirmed there was 10 users. We had a discrepancy on the sales order. But if I come into here, I can actually see the original sales order. I can see expenses. In this case, this was Lauren who just got back from a trip. This is me telling Jude to bill the customer for this, and this will kind of roll up and show you, what did she spend her money on, and then I'll sign this with my signature as well. But it's effectively approving, holding, rejecting. But inside of my inbox, this is everything that's flowing through my company, and I'm not bouncing between systems. It's one inbox for every process. Now, if I need to go search something, let's say, for example, I wanted to go look up expense reports, for example. Well, in this case, I can actually click on what we call insights. And these are reports. These show little badges that there's 3 new paid time off, for examples that have been submitted. Whenever I do call this up, this gives me the ability to go and click on any question and answer set that's on the form. So literally, whatever questions I ask on the form, I can check those off and then put different filtrations on them. In this case, these are all my expenses. But let's say, for example, I want to look at all of expenses by employee. Maybe I don't want to see Anthony's, but these are all of Chris's, and then we're going to group it by month. So now I can see month by month what my expense reports were, and maybe if I want to go drill into this one, because this is a pretty big expense report, I can drill in and see, here's all the receipts. I can see I was missing 2 receipts here. I can drill in and see how it was coded. I could even drill in and maybe ask a question. Maybe, hey, has this been created, or maybe we didn't receive payment or whatever else. This ability to be able to go in and report on specific things, maybe see all the transactions that were ever listed, grouped by category. So maybe I want to see what am I spending money on. I can see here marketing and promotions. I spent $21,000 on, and $318,000 total across every expense line item from there. So this ability for me to be able to go and analyze the data however I wish, all from one click, this is super powerful, whatever you're looking for and whatever your interest point is. And then lastly, we aggregate this data together. In this case, a channel is any asset in my company, so any job, cost code, contract, employee, piece of equipment. In this case, I always like to reference maybe a customer channel. This is generally my protocol where if I'm going to go and do a follow-up call with a customer, I want to see, what's the last thing we did with them. I can come in and I can go group it by form here, and I can say, okay, this is the last timesheet. What do we do here? Well, I can read that, okay, we were working with carryout, answering questions, and then I can ask Adam, who was actually involved in this, hey, were we able to get Adam's or Jordan's questions answered? I can also use this as my file cabinet. In this case, I see all the timesheets. If I want to see where did this project even originate from, I can click on the original project request, and then from here I can click it and view it, and I can see the whole conversation log with my team, and also spawn a new conversation from this to be able to wake it back up. And this is from almost a year ago. So this ability for me, without anyone having to put it in the filing cabinet, quote unquote, makes Omnidac almost a better version of SharePoint, or a better version of the IBM WebSphere. These large scale heavy applications, you can build this level of paperless data-driven processes in 30 days and eliminate almost every process inside of your company that's maybe paper-based or even app-based and driven. Now, the last piece of this is the ability to be able to face Omnidac outside of the company. What we mean by that is that we've got very valuable relationships inside of our company that are our trusted customers, our trusted business associates, our investors, right? People that do work with us, but not necessarily for us. So in this case, you can see I've got investors in a data room. The circles are the portal users, my customers, my contractors, my new hires. Well, I can build portal experiences for any of those relationships that we have inside of the company. In this case, if I get a new hire, this is the portal experience that I want for them. This is, hey, welcome to the Omnidac new hire portal. Anybody that I put in the new hire portal is going to get this view when they visit Omnidac. So in this case, I'll walk you through what that looks like. If you were to come work for Omnidac, you get an Omnidac email, and the first email inside of that inbox is actually a link to our portal. The way that I would invite a new onboarded employee is I would put that email in here, I would give them a free portal user, and then I would invite them to the new hire portal. I can submit this in, and they're getting an email that registers them and walks them through that experience. But then whenever they log in, this is what they see. This is where they'll come in and fill out their new hire packet. They'll select any kind of vacation request that maybe they have. If I click here on the W-4, you can see we'll support embedded PDF files, so that means the employee handbook, any PDF that's fillable, they can simply start filling that out now electronically inside of the system. Now, if they submit their new hire packet, it'll walk through their approvals. They can submit out of office requests here from this portal as well, read my welcome to the team. But let's say, for example, the HR person comments on it. Well, in this case, they can actually comment right back to them all via the portal. This would be me talking with the HR representative maybe about the copy of my driver's license or something. Maybe I didn't take didn't upload a good copy of something. So in this case, we've effectively eliminated all of that email back and forth. We've created an employee onboarding portal. We've created workflow and approvals that maybe need to work through a particular process as well. And we did it all without any coding, and we did it in an afternoon. So this is really Omnidac. We appreciate you guys sitting in and learning about Omnidac, our solution, why we built what we built, and where we kind of see this great migration coming. Now, a lot of companies are not in a position yet to where they want to even entertain cloud ERP. Maybe you just bought your current ERP system, so you're not looking at anything long term, and that's perfectly understandable. But a couple of things to kind of talk about developing a strategy is that you want to start getting into some mode to where Appageddon doesn't catch you off guard, or that you get to a point to where you're just buying apps for buying apps. Omnidac will give you a platform today that we integrate with the server-based applications today, many of the Sage and the Trimble applications that are on the market today, Foundation, Computeries, all of those things. But you can start using Omnidac today, even with minimal integration opportunities with your current legacy system. But the more processes you commit to Omnidac, it's important because it's preparing your company for the migration. Because what happens is all those pick lists for my GLs and my employees and my job numbers, all of those effectively, if I got ready to move to ERP, cloud ERP in let's say 3 years, 4 years time, all it is an under the hood unplug and plug to the next. To the field user, the end user, there's no disruption. It's just it's the same job list I was using. It just happens to be sourced from my new cloud ERP system. And what that can give a tremendous value add is that the migration to an ERP system, generally the paying cost doesn't outweigh the cost of value on the back end of it. Well, with Omnidac, you're talking about cutting to a third what the disruption is inside of your company, because to the field, they're just continue on using the same application they have been. And just the back end changes out, and now you get better reporting out of the ERP system. So this is Omnidac. I appreciate you taking a look and listening to our concept. If you are interested in talking more, we do custom tailored demos. We can even talk, if you want to send us a couple of processes, we can do that as well for you, and offer more of a tailored demo for your team. We definitely encourage you to spend some time evaluating us and look for ways to maybe start utilizing Omnidac. Some of the low-hanging fruit for us: time, expense reports, PTO requests, employee onboarding. Low-hanging fruits that we can maybe eliminate a subscription and start getting you building your intranet portal. Just a couple of quick stats. 20% of our customers have north of 30 processes inside of their company. The average customer has 11 processes inside of their company. So generally speaking, it starts off with 1 or 2 things that we want to work out. It very quickly grows into something that's pretty substantial, just because all those little friction points that are just kind of lingering around that didn't make it to, we bought an app to solve it. Now we have this really great tool out of the box that we can start targeting those things. So this is Chris with Omnidac. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar, and I'll put up my contact information here as well. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact us at omnidac.com to schedule a one-on-one presentation. Thanks so much.